All right. Welcome to Incredibelle Conversations with me, your host, Isabelle Wellman, where incredible discoveries are already within you. God, that doesn't get worse anytime I say it. Only gets better. All right, guys, we have a very fun podcast for today. I'm super stoked. Spent the last hour already chatting away life, but now going to present you with a nice little interview, the first and foremost, and it is with a dear friend, Taylor Way, a nice little Michigander, little hometown loving here. So if you are from Michigan, this is one for you to really pay attention and listen to. And if you're not, still pay attention and listen to it because it's gonna be sick. All right, so how do I relate here? Gosh, let's go back in time. We're gonna go back to young Isabelle and Taylor. I was always intrigued by Taylor because in high school, I was a little bit younger. And I think you were probably a junior or a senior at the time. And you just didn't give a fuck. And I loved it so much. I loved it so much. And I finally, maybe you guys don't know this yet or not, but I really don't believe in luck. I don't believe that anything just happens out of coincidence. Like it's meant to happen. People are brought into your life for a reason. And that's what happened. When I got my first real job at a coffee shop called Joe to Go. I started to work with Taylor, and she taught me the ropes on how to be a barista. Loved the job. And then it got time to, make some big life decision moves. And at the time, Taylor was looking at moving to Oregon, and I was contemplating between Florida and Colorado. Super stoked that I was able to have such my first probably intellectual, emotional, and wholesome, genuine conversations with another woman. Like, honestly, at that level, at that depth, and being able to look back at that nowadays. So, with that background, I just want to welcome on Taylor today. And
hey, that was so nice.
What's been making your world go around lately? What's been going on?
Oh, geez. Well, I'm back in Michigan. I've been back here for almost 2 years, 2.5, whatever. And I've just been fishing and fishing and fishing. I fish all the time. I've been farming on a vegetable farm this summer. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. I've just been loving life, getting active. I've been working out as much as possible, trying to stay healthy. Just growing like so much as a person in the last 2 years. It's insane. So I've been killing it. I've been super stoked on life and trying to find some new adventures here soon, and it's going great.
Gosh, that's awesome. What do you think is what are you most excited about right now that's going on?
I'm excited about new jobs. I've been on a big hunt lately, and I just took a new one, and I'm just going to keep finding my path. I guess I'm most excited because I have some options coming up, and it feels really good to be working towards bettering my career finally, and like relaxing about it. I feel like I was put so much stress on finding a good job career. Like I could never figure out what I wanted to do, like big career wise. And now in the last 6 months, I realized I just need to relax about it. And I'm completely finding my direction since I've been relaxing. So I've been super stoked on that. New adventures coming up. It's going to be good.
I love that. And that's huge. I think that a lot of the time we forget, or we get so caught up in ourselves and what we are trying to create and what we're trying to dive into that we forget to relax. We forget that if we just simply let it happen, we let it be, we don't try to put so much control around it, it will just align. Do you feel like you're finding that alignment with what's coming up for you?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I feel like a lot of the times I've been feeling like I'm fighting against life, fighting against these outside forces, when really it's just been my own brain. and realizing that I needed to chill out on myself about like finding the right path and career and money, of course. Like it's seriously made like a huge difference just knowing I need to like not beat myself up about stuff. So I'm pumped. I feel like everybody needs to chill about stuff like that. Like, and just be present, like be in today. Like, so.
Oh, I love that. Yes, being present with ourselves. And that can be fucking hard because we
Yeah.
want to be so impressive. We want to portray that, "Ah, look at me. This is what I got going on. This is what I got in my bank. And this is what I'm doing. What about you?"
Yep.
And
Yep.
why do you think we put on such a show for people? Why do you, like, genuinely, why do you think as a race that we try to fit into these little containers where we label ourselves and, we put such expectation on our head?
Yeah. I feel like there's so much pressure on kids and like especially when we're teenagers, like we got to do this to be successful, this, and there's all these little checklists in life, like you got to have a job that has insurance, you got to do this, like all these little things, but it's just other people's expectations. And when you actually like try to remove living your life with only your own expectations, it's a complete different world. Like there's so many things that were just always pushed on us, at least like especially like I said, when you're a teenager, you got to figure all this stuff out. And I feel like I had that pressure constantly with me for so long, trying to figure these things out, living up to other people's expectations of what's successful. Like, how come you're not doing this? I need to be making more money. Like, so I don't know. It's crazy what we do to ourselves in our brain, you know? And I've been really working on trying to remove other people's expectations. And like you said in high school, and this is so funny, you said that, oh, I just didn't give a fuck. And it's like, if only you knew how many fucks I was giving in high school. But I always wanted that mentality. So I always like tried to have that. And now I feel like I just keep getting better at not giving a fuck. And that's important. I feel like everybody needs to be better at not giving a fuck in certain areas, you know? It's weird.
It's so vital. It's like that game in school where you were like, all right, let me grab your arm and twist your skin opposite directions. It's like that snake
Yep.
game.
Snake bites.
Let me just
Uh-huh.
twist it to yourself a little bit on purpose.
Yep.
That's so silly. Isn't that funny also? How, yeah, perception.
Uh-huh.
Perception fucks us up so bad. Like I perceive,
Yeah.
especially when you're younger, you find those people that you're like, wow, this person is a role model. And, you never like communicate that with that person half the
Yeah.
time. And if
Yeah.
you do, it's like later in life when you've like gained some balls or like your balls drop just a little bit more. And
Yep.
you like have your own awareness of the world in a new way where you're like, wow, like this is why I looked up to this person. And like on the flip side of that, yeah, exactly how you said, like, yeah, no, that was just like me trying my hardest like to not give a fuck. But it's
No.
so hard, especially when we are transitioning from like this high school must go through this certain path, conventional bullshit, and
Yep.
then you leave high school and you're like, oh, this is what they prepped me for. Nothing. Sick.
Yep. Nothing. Sick. Exactly. Exactly. Oh God, I'm so glad I'm done with high school. That was the worst.
You went to college afterwards, hey?
Yeah, but only for like a year, and then I dropped out.
Yeah, explain that. So what was that process like for you? Because we're pretty similar in that area as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I always did fine in like high school and regular school. School was never like too difficult for me as far as academics go. I mean, I was not the smartest kid in the class. I took all like the basic gen ed stuff, but I just had a really hard time actually going to class. Like I just hated having to go to class, you know? So I was always skipping school. I I was like gonna just take some gen ed classes in college. I had no idea what, I wanted to specialize in psychology, but I literally had no plan besides that. And so when college came, I was just in party mode, and it was like, wait, I have to go back in school now, and now I'm paying for this, and now if I fail, like all of my money's on the line. I'm like a real failure if I fail school. Well, so I failed, completely failed the first semester, dropped out. I mean, I just stopped going. I realized I was not ready. And then I went back and only took a couple classes just to like feel better about school and not overwhelm myself. And once I was done with that, I started getting some good jobs in the mental health field, like around Esky. And I was like, I'm done with college. I just want to make money, work, and play. I had no time for play, so I just wanted to play. And then I never went back. And I've just been playing ever since. I moved across country, just you know what it's like. I needed more than college. Like I wasn't looking for college. I was looking for different things. And then I wanted to figure out the career thing in the long run. So that's in a nutshell. There's a lot of layers to it, obviously.
Yep. Gosh, I enjoy that. That's raw. It makes so much, like, to hear now of other people who didn't do the traditional thing. Like, kudos to the people who fucking knew what they wanted to do.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I envy them. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. It's like a slight envy, but like, wow, you knew what your purpose was right out the gate. You were
Yep.
like a certain way that made sense, and like people who are doctors and like people who are serving us at higher levels academically, like, damn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I always wish I had that commitment, but that being said, I'm never going to be that person, and I'm glad, you know what I mean? Like I admire people who are able to grind on like that.
Yeah, hone into what their little abilities are. But on the flip side, I'm very stoked that everything, works out how it does, because it only leads us exactly where we need to be. I feel like that's a good reminder for people. I guess out of so let's come back to like small townness for a second. We both grew up in a pretty small town. What do you think is the most important thing for anyone who has never transitioned before, never transitioned from their everyday, they know it, they know the area around you, that the people, everyone knows you, you know them, and then to just move across the country? What was that like for you?
Well, what that was like for me was wild and incredible, and the best thing I've ever done. As far as I never flew in a plane ever until I decided to go out to Oregon by myself when I was 21 and go work on this farm. I had no idea where I was going. And long story short, I was only going out to Oregon for a month, like for a trip, and I was going to work on this farm and do the damn thing. And it was terrifying. I was super anxious. I was a really anxious person at the time. So it was like insane. Flying on the plane, all of the above. I feel like that people need to do stuff like that as far as getting out of the town. And like you have to, as far as small town shit goes, let me think. You have to see what else is out there. You have to see like the other worlds that are around us that nobody actually understands until you're living in that world. Like you can hear about all these things on the radio and on the TV or whatever, but you have to go live it. Like you have to go try it. I don't know. I kind of fumbled that.
Yeah, like just go and do it. Like don't let.
Like, you have to do it. You have to do something that scares the shit out of you and put yourself in situations that intimidate you, and that's how you learn way more about yourself than you would otherwise. Like I feel like people have to do stuff like that to realize who you are, to realize what you can do.
Yes. Yeah, we just undermine ourselves so much. We don't believe that we're capable, when really it's all just in our heads. Like anything and everything we want to achieve and get done and put our minds to, you're either gonna do it or you're not.
Yep. And a lot of times the only thing holding you back is your own thoughts, like, which is ridiculous.
how do you think like the anxiety around that comes about, like for the general population?
The anxiety around what?
Around like moving, yeah, moving or like changing or making some sort of that dramatic step in life, whatever that could be for someone. Like, what do you think, like a major root cause for people, like something that blocks them or something that might limit them?
Oh,
Any like habitual
fear.
mind
For,
game.
for
Hmm.
sure, fear. I feel like anxiety, so many things come out of fear, so many different like reactions or feelings that you don't like necessarily think are fear, but it's fear. And it's really easy to just like stick with what you know. And like I think a lot of people have these dreams and desires and goals and things they want to do someday, but it's just the easy, like when you start thinking of how hard it's going to be and all these steps you have to take to get there, like it's intimidates people and they just go the easy route and like stick to what they know.
Hmm.
Which is such a just a trap you can fall in. Like it's easy to just always stick with, I don't know, what you know, but you got to push past that.
Yeah, yeah, it's so much easier to live in the mundane lifestyle,
Yeah.
and it's so.
Well, and I feel like when people are nervous about doing things that are big, you almost like your brain, your ego almost convinces you not to, you know? And I don't know why that happens, but there's a lot of thoughts that come up in your head when you're trying to do something new. And like you think of all these negatives, like it's just natural for like our brains do that. We think of all these negative things and you have to be able to not listen to that, you know? But it's hard. It's really hard.
What are some things that you have used to help practice that like detachment of the ego?
Oof. I've been working on that a lot lately. The detachment of the ego. I told you about the book that I read, The Untethered Soul. I've read it like twice. I'm not sure if you read it yet, but that book helped me a lot, realizing how much chaos goes on in your brain and like your ego always popping up into things. And I used to notice all these things happening in my brain, but then I'd beat myself up. Like, why is my, like, oh God, my ego has to get into it like all the way, all the time. And then I started not beating myself up about these negative thoughts. And like you catch yourself thinking these things and you have to realize, like once you realize you're thinking these negative thoughts, you have to just like let it go. And like you literally like relax around your heart is what they talks about in this book, and like move on. Like you have to catch yourself in those negative thinking patterns, recognize that you caught it, like okay cool, let it go and stop thinking and like move on, like physically move on if you have to, move on to something else. That's helped me a lot.
That is huge.
Not learning how to not beat myself up about stuff, you know?
Yeah, to
Because
just give ourselves a break.
yep, yep. It's like the go ahead.
No, you go on with that thought.
It's just like the drama, like it's this always like we're always having these conversations with ourselves in our brain. And it's like, well, our body isn't doing that. Like, I'm not thinking about how to make my heart beat right now. I'm not thinking about how to move my legs. Like, you have to like realize that you're like, stop, let it, like, I like have to tell myself, like, stop thinking about all this shit right now, Taylor. Like, go do something, move on, like, mentally move on, get a move on. I don't know. I feel like sometimes sometimes you just get your own head stuck up your ass. Like that's how I describe it. And I'll realize that, oh, like it's like whatever you call it, a funk, people get stuck in ruts, whatever. I feel like every so often we all get our head stuck up our ass, and I'll realize this. I'll like mentally grab myself by the chin, tell myself to get my fucking head out of my ass and move on. Like, and sometimes those are the best situations. I don't know, like I'm talking about like when you're in a funk, you know what I mean? Like that's, sometimes I get in funks and I realize that that's like the best thing that could have happened to me, because that's when you learn how to change yourself like forever for good. So I always appreciate the weird funks and when I realized my head was stuck on my ass.
It's rich up there. It's full of those
Yep.
nutrients to plant.
Yep.
God, I love that.
Oh God, I love it.
So much
Yep.
of other podcasts that I'm really into. I post about it a lot on my Instagram, but Abraham Hicks, I'm not sure if you listen to her or not, but she talks a lot about, yeah, what you're saying. Like when you get stuck, you need to forget, and you need to just
Yeah.
fucking move on. And how she puts
Yep.
it is like take a nap. Go take a
Yep.
nap.
Yep.
And I feel
Yep.
it definitely applies to us all differently, but I love
For sure.
how, like, yeah, you're more of a physical movement person in
Mhm.
that way. Where, yeah,
Well, sometimes you have to just let yourself feel like shit too. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like something that has helped me is putting a cap on it. Like, okay, realize you've been pouting or whatever, or like having a really hard time. I'm like being harsh on myself because I just am always harsh on myself. But you have to let yourself feel like shit sometimes. You're going to feel like shit sometimes. But then once you realize that it's okay, I was feeling like shit, like you have to have a cap on it, because otherwise, at least for me, I'll just sit there and dwell, you know what I mean, in my brain for weeks on end. And it's like the dwelling, like that has to stop, because that doesn't help you with anything. Like you got to be able to let stuff go and identify things that you can't let go and realize what you need to do to be able to let them go or accept them or whatever.
I lately I've been hearing about how important it is to put that cap on it. Like how it's kind of freaky how you bring that up, because
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to figure out like different ways to make a profit, different ways to, like, stay aligned with my beliefs, my truth, and be in business, make a buck doing it, doing stuff that I love, that I'm passionate about, so that I'm not stuck in this mundane way of living, because I'm not a conventional person. I'm always going to be unconventional at best, and
Yeah.
always preaching to figure out what fucking makes you rock and roll. If it is a 9 to 5 job, sick. If you like to work with your hands, awesome. If you're a planter, if you paint, if you fucking dance your butt off, if you pole
Yeah.
dance, like let your freak flag fly. But whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is, exactly, like figure it out and let it fuel you. Like just like you portraying the truth and authenticity of that is going to, I mean, one, get rid of all the people who don't align with that, which is good. You might see it as a bad thing, because as humans in such a headfast lifestyle, we often see like losing people, even people on social media, which is so sickening to even think about, as a
I know.
loss. And it's not a fucking loss, because none of these people are real. Like none of this is, that's not even reality. I'm
Yep.
like really, really taking such joy out of stepping away from social media for like about a week. I
Oh, yeah.
left a couple days ago, and
Yeah.
like, how silly is that to say I'm
Mm-hmm.
leaving social media and I feel better? No shit,
Yep.
first of all. Second
Yep.
of all, to have like support when you do that is awesome, but it's only going to help clear your head.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if that's like how you market, or if you see it as free marketing, or if you see it as like a place for you to express yourself, whatever it is. To like have a cap on different things like that is so important. And what I was even trying to get at in the first place is, you will have, like, anyone, I guess, I'm not just saying you, but
Yeah.
everyone in general, like we have a hard time as a society in achieving when we don't have that deadline. Like
Mm-hmm.
people are so fucking ready to sign up for that beach body class, not bagging on beach body, for that beach
Yep.
body class that's 20-day ab blaster. You'll have a
Yeah.
six-pack by the end of this session and you're gonna look sick. Babes guaranteed. You're like,
Yep.
how can you, one, guarantee those things, but two, like 20 days?
Yeah.
Sure, we can commit to that because it's such a short portion. It's us being able to see that deadline. And wow, how like I love psychology. I wish I would have like studied that more.
I
But
know. Me too. Me too.
like how
That's why you just read books. You can keep studying. I just do my own studying on my own time,
yeah,
which is a lot less than college.
yeah.
But
It's free and it's available literally anywhere you look, in libraries and in books, and friends just discuss
yeah.
it. how rich it is. But how
Yeah.
important that is. And as we're going on this topic of like the 20-day ab blaster, do you feel like you're more stressed out when you don't move? Or do you feel that trying to fit physical activity in your day is like a tough thing to do? Like, what's your standpoint on that?
I feel like, well, it's definitely different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I feel like it changes for me. Sometimes I go through waves where I like am really good at holding myself accountable. I have to work out. I feel a lot better when I work out. And then I'll go through a week or two where working out's just pissing me off. Like I don't want to do it. And then I beat myself up about not doing it. And it's just like that. When it gets like that, I feel like you just take a break. You know what I mean? When it's causing too much pressure, like when you sign up for those things, I've signed up for those big programs and things, you know? And like we were talking about before, your own brain just gets like wrapped up and you like, oh, you're not doing as good. You're not keeping up with the deadline. You're not doing this. Like this is me at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize I work out a lot more when I just do it when I feel like it, which I feel like it a lot more when I'm not putting too much pressure on myself about it. And I don't know, I guess it's always changing and it's different for everybody. But I genuinely feel better when I'm moving, but I have to moving like I can't just keep working out in my house. I'm not a big gym person. I like working out from home, but I need like fresh air, like hikes, working out outside, things like that, fishing. I like that. I need that in my life. That's when I feel my best. When I feel my worst is when I'm not doing things outside and active. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I'm sure you kind of feel similar.
Yeah, actually, right now I'm reading this book by Deepak Chopra. Got it for 50 cents at a garage sale. Best
Epic.
find ever.
Epic.
It's called The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. And it was really bizarre because I had gone to a Goodwill right before this, and I found another one of his books, um, but for parenting, so I picked it up for my girlfriend. But
Nice.
in like the second chapter, and it's like the laws, to help improve your life. But the second one is about giving and how when we give, no matter what that looks like, we receive. So whether you're giving your time, you're giving a prayer, you're giving a blessing, or a flower, you're giving a compliment, like you should always show up someplace and give, because to like the law, the energy of the world is you give and you're going to receive. You stop
Yep.
giving, you stop, however that looks like to you. It can be money, it could be gifts, whatever. It could be cookies. Um,
Yep.
that flow, it's water. It has to flow. It's always going. It's like your breath. If you don't inhale, well, you're not going to exhale. You're going to die. So sorry. But one of his like biggest tips was like, I will receive the gifts of nature, sunlight,
Yep.
the sound of the birds singing, or spring showers, or the first snow of winter. And I feel like in today's world, we are so clogged up with our phones, with being involved with, just like television shit, with
Other people. Yeah.
yeah, other
Friends.
people, and things that aren't necessarily relative to our well-being. I almost feel like the convenience of life has just dogged on us, man. Just really fucking
Yep.
dogged on us.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I like how do we help the next generations? This is such a crazy question. Like, how do we help those next generations, or like our children, or like even the people around us, wake up and realize, hey, you should go for a walk outside without your cell phone, because
Yeah.
Instagram doesn't need to know you did that. And I'm a huge victim. I'll put quotations around that myself,
Oh,
because that's like my entire Instagram is, oh, I'm in Colorado, but oh, now I'm in Alaska, but oh, now we're hiking, and now we're biking, and now blah blah blah. Like, cool. It's really great to stay up to date. It's really cool to, stay connected that way. It's great to communicate.
yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
where do we draw that line? How do we, I don't even know what I'm asking anymore, but
You're fine. You're fine. Yeah, I feel like I mean, like you talk about in your podcast and all over, like all the time, I feel like, at least for myself, this is getting sidetracked, but a lot of people get upset. I've realized this, like, because I've been working in the mental health field and I have always had anxiety. A lot of people get upset, it seems like, when you suggest like you should get outside more, like you should go for a walk more. And I understand, like, when people are asking on advice like how to feel less anxious, like I have friends that'll get anxious so often, and not really any of my friends get pissed, but I'll see people online like talking about, I don't know, just like, stop telling me to get outside, blah, blah, blah. Well, like it actually helps. I mean, it's scientifically proven, like you are a happier person when you're connecting with the earth. Like, you need to get outside, you need to do those things. And I don't know, I feel really attached to the ground and the world around me. Like, I am a loose cannon if I'm not connecting with nature in some way. Like, I have to be doing stuff like that. So it's super important for me. I know everybody's different, but I feel like in general, people, as far as making the world and the future and whatever a better place, like I feel like people need to connect to the earth a lot more than a lot of people than they do. And that can be in whatever way. I mean, we could go all kinds of routes with that. How do you connect to the earth? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you said, people get caught up in just people and life and jobs and all these like busy things that are happening, when it's like, look at what we're on. Like, we're literally in a little bubble floating around in space. Like, there's so much gravity to that. And I like talking about that. I like focusing on that. I think about that all the time. And I feel like that makes me a whole person. And I think a lot of people should spend more time doing things like that. I don't know if that answers your question or what.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is awesome. I mean, that's quite it. Like, quite literally, we don't give enough. I don't think we give enough back. I don't think we as a society, this is all my personal opinion,
Yep.
of course, but I don't think as a whole collective, we are treating our life force with respect. I don't think that we are giving back. I think she's dying. She's, like Mother Earth. We call her Mother Earth for a fucking reason. Think about who mom is. Think about who that caregiver who maybe resembled a mom to you if you didn't grow up with a mom or you didn't have a good relationship with your mom. Like, imagine.
Mother Nature, like the power of Mother Nature. I feel like that is God. I don't know. Like, I don't want to talk about God a bunch right now, but I feel like Mother Nature, like that's like that, like our earth, like this is why we're here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think that's the most I think Mother Nature is the most powerful force, obviously, ever. And I think people don't give her enough credit, and understand the magnitude of her.
This is good. With this mother conversation, do you feel a shift in the feminine masculine energy within the world, as like, of the obvious global things that are happening we're not going to hit on today because we're just not going to go there, but with, there's wildfires are always happening. I feel like that is something that, she's quite literally being like, yo, I am burning. Guys, what are we going to do to
the hurricanes, like the big storms? Yeah, it's wild.
Just like little or big or small, doesn't matter, just all over the place. She is trying to shake us awake.
Yeah.
Like, half of us are waking up, stepping up, growing a little bit, stepping into discomfort, into responsibility. And on the other hand, you have people who are just kind of hanging out along the ride, waiting. They're not moving, so they're dying.
Yep. They are getting left behind. Yep.
As we move through this conversation, back to the masculine and the feminine, how do you feel that shift? Like, where you're at in the world, do you feel that there's like a collective movement there, or do you not that disturbing?
I haven't really thought about like a shift with like between the two. There's definitely a shift going on, and I'm very curious where it's heading. I feel like there's a shift towards the right direction going on, but a lot of bad things are going to happen before we get there. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't thought about it that way. What do you think? Because you've obviously thought about it.
Yeah, I see it like the changing of the seasons. So, you
Yes.
have summer. Summer's fucking sick. We're all happy to be here. We're all tan. We're all
Yep.
outside, or we're out like, we're just thriving off of the sun. Like, no matter what, if you're not a sun person, I have to be guilty as a Leo, just a sun person. But, it's a good time. Everything is green, it's fresh, it's alive. And then we move into fall and we start to see that shifting of death, and the leaves start to change, and we
flowers start to die, and I get depressed.
The sun goes away. It's a little gloomier, a little more rainy, as I'm finding out very quickly here in Alaska. It rains a lot. We have winter, and I feel like winter's that time of, okay, we're here. This is all the shit that's happened since. This is our time to kind of, we're going to make something happen, or we've already started that. I mean, if you think about it, we only have 90 days until next year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
90 more days in 2020. We made it this far, which is wild. But yeah, we only have 90 days. And if you think about it in that way, we only have a couple months of making whatever we need to make happen, and put a point to it, and to step up. Because that winter's going to come, and we're going to hibernate. We're going to naturally retreat. We're going to naturally want to step back and cozy up with our loved ones. We're going to want to take a fucking break.
Yep.
Then the spring will come, and we'll all start to sing and dance, and
what
happens, but we'll just be rebirthing again. And then our little cycle will go on however it will. But I really feel like, just from my love of astrology, and I love that we got to chat prior to this about that a little bit. But
me too.
Just how in astrology, like, everything's like taken in a snapshot. So every little, like, every day to come, or like every day that is coming, like, there's a screenshot of what that looks like, and what's that to bring. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, we go through these waves of where there's a little bit more of a heavy or power or energy that revolves around, being domineering, being powerful, being more about money, being more about control, being more about, this is how I'm going to succeed. This is a very ego time. This is a very just solo, single kind of time. Versus, which is what I would call the masculine. Not that they're always like that, obviously. Love men. But then you have like just being very extreme here to make the picture clear. Then you have that gentle energy, that softer, the nurturing, the care, the community, the let's make sure everyone gets a fair share so no one's fighting over cookies at lunch. Like, let's be all together, and let's so forth, so on. Let's divvy up the power evenly. Let's make sure that we run this smooth, that everyone is accounted for, that you're not just a number. And I feel like we're almost undergoing such a crazy time in life with all these dominoes falling, those leaves falling off the trees, because we are making that like a much bigger shift in energy, just as a planet, as a society, as a collective. And that can scare people. I think that it can freak people out. It can make people, like, attached to whatever news they're receiving, whatever they are listening to, whoever they're surrounded by. They're clinging on to
whatever their beliefs. Like, everybody, you know what I mean? Everybody does that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I don't make the best judgment calls because that's what we do. When something's scary, we want to white knuckle grip the shit out of it and make sure that we're safe. And then after we get over that first hurdle, it's like skiing. If you go downhill, it's when I teach skiing, I tell everyone this before we get on the skis. You are going to be scared because it is not human nature for you to go 50 miles an hour down this mountain. It's going to feel like you're going 100 miles an hour. You're really not, but it's going to be nerve-wracking because you've never done it before. You've never taken such a weird, not habitual movement in your life like that, to just like go soaring down on two planks that are slidey. And I feel like that applies so much to what we're all going through. So like when, we cling on to any information that can make us feel safe or some kind of security.
Yeah. And everybody's security is different, like it can be anything. But people, you have to cling on to something when all these things are happening, for sure.
Do you feel like there's
feels like
what do you feel that you have like personally have done to like stay secure in this moment for whatever that means to you, or within these within just this summer into this transitioning fall to winter?
What has made me make me feel like secure, you're asking? I gotta think about it.
Or anything, like even if it's like an emotional thing that you've gone through or like a mental mindset change.
I feel like it's like reminding yourself and myself that we are the only people we have, really. Like we're going to be spending the rest of our lives with ourselves. And I feel like I've really been harnessing in on how to make that the best experience possible. And like we were talking about earlier, not get caught up in all the drama of the mind. And I've really just been kind of clinging on to what I need out of life and what I want and what I can do to get that. And I've been really focused on a lot of stuff like that, and taking the time to be by myself and go think about these things and write these things down. I feel like I've just been clinging to myself, and that's something I'm learning how to do a better job of, instead of clinging to outside things. You know what I mean? Friends, boyfriend, jobs, whatever, other people. I feel like I've really just been focused on myself in the last like 6 months since all this stuff has been going down, and it's been incredible. I mean, 2020 has been a terrible year, but I would say this summer and the past 6 months have been some of the best times of my life as far as personal growth goes. So that's what I've been focusing on. I don't know. How about you?
Personal growth. Absolutely. That's the game changer. I think that has set this year. I mean, that's been my major thing. Like this is same one of the best years of my life. I feel like the birthday I just had, 24, like this is my year, so to say. Like how cliche that is, but I've never had a birthday before.
Yeah. And I have said this before, and I know it's like cheesy, but I want you to like know, like, dude, every year has gotten better in the last like 5 years. And that's not saying like bad things have happened and shit's been real bad at times, but as far as like personal growth and happiness and like growing up, I feel like every year has gotten better, and every year I'm just learning how to keep living life better and more happy, and more at peace. Like, so I'm glad that you feel that way, because I think it's just gonna keep going up, because that's how it's been. And I think people need to take moments to like be grateful for that. Like no matter what's happening, you're learning how to be a better version of yourself, and that's pretty damn cool. So I think every year gets better because of that.
Do you have a way that you like say do you have a morning routine? Are you a routine kind of person, or do you just kind of
No, not really. I try really hard to be a routine person sometimes. No, I definitely fly by the seat of my pants. If I feel like sleeping in, I sleep in. I take like 20 minutes to get ready for work. So most of the time, waking up within a half hour, and that's like solid. No, I'm not a big, I don't know. Are you a routine person? I'm curious.
I really am. I feel yes and no. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be like this is my list and I need to get it done A to Z, but it really does help if I sit down the night before. I do write stuff down. I'm like, this is the
Yeah.
idea. But I have I guess like I have learned to be so much more gentle with myself and
Yeah.
not be so hard. Just like you're
Yeah.
saying, like to soften and to just allow ourselves to be quite literally who we
Yeah.
are, exactly
Yes.
what that is in the day. And when I stay true to that, I feel way more relieved. I feel way
Yeah.
more awake and aware. I definitely like being a morning person. I love
Yeah.
to make sure that like I listen to a podcast every morning and I drink coffee and I play with my dog. Like if I do
Yeah.
those things, my day's starting off on a pretty good note. And I think
Yes.
something that has really helped is not even like routine, but just to wake up happy. To
Yeah.
wake up and be thankful for anything at all.
Yeah. I think we could talk about that for sure because I have super messed up dreams sometimes. I don't know about you, but I have like really fucked up dreams. Sometimes I'll wake up and be like ready to explode, anger or bawling my eyes out. Like I have super intense dreams, always have. And I literally sometimes in the morning will have to wake up and like let go of a dream I just had to remind myself like none of that was real. That was not real at all. And like that's when I like think of okay, like what's kick ass about life? My dogs are right there. And just like focusing on one positive thing, that is a game changer. I feel like sometimes people are cheesy about like, oh, wake up and think of something you're grateful for, but like it's real. Like it's not, but it helps. I feel like sometimes I need that. And yeah. Yeah.
I think that is what truly sets apart, like, let's see, like, people who are trying to have a little more self-love, a little more self-appreciation, just like a genuinely better day. Because,
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't give a rat's ass my senior year of high school, and I always relate back to this because I could get away with not going to first hour due to, it was fucking, what was it called even? Like teacher's assistant hour.
Yeah.
What
TA.
was
Oh
that?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't assist anything. My
I
assist was
know.
to bring like Mr. Berlinski a donut when I was late. Which
Yes.
was 50 minutes late, and I was there for
Yeah.
the last 10, and all these little eighth graders or freshmen saw me walking in. I was like, yo, I'm about
Yep.
to leave. Have a great day. I didn't do
Yep.
anything to help, like nothing. And because I knew I could get
Yep.
away with it. And I feel like that was, one, disrespectful, two, like not the best for like who I wanted to become. Like it was just keeping me trapped in such a limited lifestyle. It was keeping me trapped in old patterns that I didn't realize at the time. I didn't have any awareness of any of that stuff at that time. I wish I knew. That would make life easier. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, growing up, you just realize, wow, like this is gonna make me motivated if I wake up with my partner at 5:30 in the morning and I offer to make them breakfast. One, I get to serve and love my partner, show them I give a shit about them, and
Yeah.
I'm doing something that it's not really out of your comfort zone, and it's not really hard to wake up when you have a what's the word? Like when you have a not a promotion, but you have something good to look forward
Like
to. The
like
small
a drive.
Yeah, a drive. When you have that drive behind an action, when you're like, wow, I get to help my partner have an easier morning. They don't have to think about making their breakfast. They can shower, they can go get dressed, and then when they get done, it's ready. Like,
Yeah.
wow, what an amazing thing to offer someone. And it's free. That shit is free.
Yep. That's beautiful. You're so kind, Isabelle. You're so kind. I'm like, Boz, make your damn breakfast. But no, they're 100%. That's great. Watch out.
Not every morning is like that. I have to say, I'm usually getting the coffee brought to me in bed.
Yeah.
I usually
Yeah.
take a couple more hours, but today I was nice.
I feel like as far as routines go, I definitely am like a better version of myself when I try to stick to at least some routine, like staying active, things like that. But I feel like people, myself, and probably other people, get so caught up in that routine, and it almost becomes like a pressure, like a, oh God, I got it. Like, and then it's just like, well, what is this routine? Is it even actually helping, or am I just like loading up way too much stuff to do? So it's just finding a balance, like of having a decent routine, but I try to go with how I'm feeling. Like if I'm not feeling up to whatever, doing this routine, if I'm really like not wanting to do something, I'm not going to beat myself up about not wanting to do it. I just won't do it. And I'll be happy that I'm not doing something I don't want to do. Those are like, that's pretty general, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get it. I have a friend. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a friend who routines aren't her thing. Like she just nothing at all, and it works.
Yeah.
For
Yeah. Everybody's different. Everybody needs different things. The trick is to just find what works best for you.
That is honestly some of the best advice that we could probably leave off on for today.
Yeah.
Is everyone has their own way of doing stuff, and figuring out what works best for you in moderation and the balance of this world is ideal.
Yeah.
And to not give a fuck.
Yep. People need to give less fucks. That's my advice. But you can give so many fucks while still not giving a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yes. And
Like,
you're actively giving a fuck about not giving a fuck too much.
yes. Yes. In a nutshell.
I love it. I love it so much. Gosh, thank you
I
so
feel like we could talk forever. We could talk about all kinds of things.
Oh,
It's hard to hone it all into one
really
big topic.
is. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
so stoked that we were able to have an hour discussion before this hour discussion.
Me too. Me too. It was great.
Thank you so much for being here and for being on the show and everything. It's just
Yeah. Dude, you're killing it. I'm so proud of you. You make my life better just listening to you. You're helping a lot of people. I think you're incredible. So thanks for having me. You're beautiful, dude. I'm so happy for you. You guys are crushing it.
fill my heart. So much love. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Gosh, so good. Well, everyone, I hope that you got something from this conversation, and have a great rest of your day, and we will be seeing you later. Bye.